Hey everybody, it's Mike again. Wanted to go through yet another step in the home buying process. That's getting a home inspection. A home inspection is where a third party comes in and takes a very detailed look at the inside and outside of the house that you're looking to buy. They'll help you figure out if there's anything that could potentially be wrong with the home that you either might need to have repaired by the sellers before you move in or have it repaired shortly after you do move in once you have owned the house. I've got a chance to catch up with Tamara LaPlante. She is a home inspector here in the Denver area that I have used time and time again. She's very thorough, and you will see here in just a second why she's somebody that I keep going back to as an expert opinion for home inspections.
All right, so I'm joined here today with one of my favorite inspectors out here in the real estate world, going out and doing a lot of the inspections for me and for my clients. So from Perspective Property Inspections here, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about your company and what you got going on.
Oh, absolutely, Mike. Thank you very much for letting me do this interview with you. And it's great that you're inviting me to do this. I love the education, but I'm Tamara LaPlante with Perspective Property Inspections, and I perform commercial and residential inspections. I've been performing inspections for about 14 years now, and love a lot of it, and some of it is a little trying, but that's why we're in it, and nothing can be totally 100% all the time.
No. So I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and there's probably going to be a first-time home buyer or two watching this video. Tell us, why is hiring an inspector an important part of the buying process?
Well, you don't know what you don't know. The thing is you go into your home and you might go through and just visually see what's going on with the house. But we go a little further in depth with what we do. Having an inspector, a third-party inspector, and I'll go a little further in depth with a third party opposed to, let's say, a builder. But a third-party inspector is generally going through the house with a limited visual inspection. They don't see behind walls or that, but they definitely will call out the major functionings of your home, and that will be the furnace, the AC. It would be the roofing, the attic, structural, electrical, and plumbing. Most people don't get that in depth when they look through a house, so that's what we do.
They're looking to fall in love with the house and leave the details up to you.
Yes.
Good. So, you said 14 years being around the business. I'm sure you got a couple of stories where you've really saved someone's bacon. You got a couple of stories to share with us on how some things have been brought to light that might sway somebody from buying a house or not?
I don't say yes, buy the house, don't buy the house. That's not our position. Our position is to give the information because we don't know what the seller is going to do, and we don't know what the buyer on their position. But what we do see is, especially on your foundation, your structure, there's been times, especially even on an investor, that we've seen cracks in a foundation wall and wondering why the cost of the house has decreased exponentially. And we come in, we look at it, and all of a sudden now they see that the structural engineer sees that, and now there's a big problem with the structure. But the thing is, things can be fixed, and that's why we do not ever say walk away from a house. So an inspector really shouldn't do that. That's not our position. Other things are like aluminum wiring, where a lot of people will get pretty uptight about aluminum wiring, when in reality you just call an electrician out and they take a look at it, and they can take care of that. There's a lot of things on a house that can be addressed, and people should not get too stressed out over it.
Yeah, I know one time you did an inspection for me and caught a burnt out outlet that had been a little bit singed, and definitely puts into question a few things, and ended up not buying that property, but it worked out for the best, and it was really thankful that you were there to provide me that insight.
Yeah, very good.
So an inspection report. With the first time I looked at one of your inspection reports, I think it was 90 pages. And when I'm on Tamara's site here, I love working with her because she is so detailed, and just every little nook and cranny gets a peek. for somebody who's taking a look at an inspection report for the first time, it can be a little bit of an eye-opener to take a look at that many pages. How should somebody who's never seen an inspection report read one of those?
Well, you can take back and say, do I want a 20-page report or do I want a thorough report? Some inspectors will look at it as in, I'm only going to report what needs to be taken care of. At our company perspective, we look at it kind of as a different way. We'll put a picture of each room, each bathroom, running water, the defects that we see, the things that we think that they should do, little areas that I think that, changing the filter, that kind of thing. But you shouldn't look at an inspection report as being, oh my gosh, this house is going to fall down. You should always look at the report. Yeah, exactly. You should look at a report as informational and educational. Again, we are not here to stress you out. We are here to inform and educate. But the reports are definitely thorough. And it just depends on the inspector. We don't have to be licensed and we don't have to be certified in the state of Colorado. So things like that can be a little stress for people that are looking for an inspector.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely think that having a more thorough inspection report than the 20-page report can be definitely eye-opening for people.
Sure. The last time I had you come out and do some work for a client, you did a sewer scope as well. What's a sewer scope and why is a sewer scope, especially in Colorado?
Oh, yes. Sewer scopes. It doesn't matter if it's a new house or a 1919 house. New builds are very important to get a sewer scope on new builds. Sewer scopes are actually it's a visual inspection of your sewer line from the clean out within your home to the street, the city tap.
Right.
Finding out what that condition of that line looks like. If it happens to have bellies, sometimes bellies aren't that big of a deal. It just depends on the size.
Right.
There could be cracks in the line. There could be debris. Let's just say wipes, children's wipes, diaper wipes, that kind of stuff. You should never throw down a sewer line. But even on a new build, sometimes the builders, contractors will throw stuff down there like shards of tile or mortar or mud. So having a sewer scope, and in reality, if you're going to whomever, it's around $150, $175 to perform a sewer scope, which is nothing compared to what the house, it's very important.
What could come about? Yeah, I know that last sewer scope that you did for one of my clients, it found a pretty big issue, and we were able to negotiate that getting taken care of before my clients moved in, and so that was fantastic. Very
good.
Thankful you're there. Yeah, it was
very
great.
Good.
All right. So with COVID, all the stuff going on, how has your world changed, and extra masks, or what have you got going on for precautions?
It hasn't really changed. As a company, we've actually, with our employees, we've actually worked through COVID. We were one of the essentials. Wearing masks, wearing gloves definitely was one of the bigger things that we needed to do when we're going through the house, and cleaning of the door handles with the Clorox wipes, that kind of thing. Precautionary, making sure the clients or even the homeowner, sometimes the homeowner was home at the time. So we would ask them to be on a different level of the home. But it hasn't been too stressful. In my position, I haven't been that stressed. I'm more worried about the client along with the seller of the home at that point. Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend that a buyer or a seller go with you to do an inspection, or what do you like to have? Somebody who lets you do your thing or ask questions, or what's your preference?
I would love for the buyer client to be at the inspection. If it was me buying the home, I would be asking questions. Obviously, we don't allow them to get up on the roof, the attic, and obviously if we're inspecting like an electrical panel, we don't want to stick your hands inside an electrical panel. And sometimes we don't like you to get into like crawl spaces, but we love to have the client there because then they see what we see. And it's important that they understand what we look at and why it's on the inspection report. I think it lessens the stress with most people in reality.
Right. Great. Great. I'm sure you got to have a funny story or two. What, crawling in a crawl space, or what's your favorite story to tell everybody and you get together and say, I remember this one time that.
Yeah, well, it's actually really doesn't have anything to do with the inspection, but I had a lady that was the client. Her husband was already at the inspection. It was a very expensive home, but she just got done with a workout, and she decided to come to the inspection and use the owner's shower as she was there. I thought that was pretty, that took me back. And the only reason why I knew that was because I was going to inspect that bathroom and she was taking a shower. But,
Oh, wow.
other things that we've seen, you know, there's clients that will invite a lot of the family. And you have your dad or a contractor that'll come in and will be inspecting like an electrical panel, and you'll have a zoom lens over your shoulder when you're trying to look at a 125, 200 amp electrical panel. It's not a comfortable thing for an inspector.
Sure. Trying to make sure you don't touch the wrong place on the electrical panel.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Any other last comments that you'd like to make for anybody who's considering buying a house, the things that they should keep in mind, and especially as they give you a call, they get the report back, and what do they do going forward to help make an informed decision?
Hire an inspector that is at least certified with an association. So Internashi, ASHI, there's a lot of great associations out there. That would be my number one pick. With our company, we are certified through Internashi. Making sure they're up to date on their education would be another big one, along with the radon, the sewer scopes, pool and spa. We do the pool and spa inspections. And, you know, call like an interview. So call your inspector and interview them. And I love the fact that you refer me, Mike. And obviously, you know that it's totally about the client and who they would like to pick.
Sure.
But do the interview with the inspector first. And I know that timing and trying to get the inspection can be a little difficult,
Sure.
you know. But yeah, and doing an inspection is, you know, at least a 3-hour inspection. Some inspectors will take an hour and a half. They should be taking their time and not trying to rush through the inspection.
Right.
And talking with the inspector at the inspection, and they should be also available to call even after they've moved into the house. If they got questions about the inspection report and they totally forgot, you know, they were there and they asked the question and they forgot. That shouldn't be an excuse for the inspector to say, you know, you were there, you should have known already.
Right.
You're not going to remember everything. There's the client, and their clients are going through a lot of stress at the time, but they shouldn't. The inspection it's a limited visual inspection, but we're there to educate and inform, and it should not be elevated to an extreme that, you know, we're not God, you know, we're not put on a pedestal. We're here to help, and that's the whole point, is to be helpful.
I almost forgot about radon. You do radon inspections too. It's another expense that when you take a look at how much it costs to buy a house, it's yet another expense, but it's so important. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit more about radon inspections and what you can see out of a radon inspection.
Sure. Well, there's two types. There's one there's a radon mitigation that's already installed, and we inspect those to make sure they're properly installed. And then the other thing is that we actually inspect as in testing of a house. It doesn't matter if it's new or old, it's the placement of the house. And your next door neighbors can actually have higher levels than you. It just depends totally on where the house is placed.
Right.
But radon is actually radium which is given off by decay particles. And you can have your downstairs in your basement. It doesn't matter if you have a walkout basement, if you're on the main floor and you have a crawl space, you should be testing for radon.
Right.
It's not that expensive to test for radon, $150. And the mitigation is, it ranges from like $900 to $1,500. It just depends on how they have to mitigate it. It's important to test for that.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, those are the questions I got for you today, Tamara. Thanks for joining in and all your experience. And like I said, you've saved my bacon here a couple of times. So really, really appreciate what you do and the thorough reports that you provide everybody. So thanks
Absolutely.
a lot. And I'm sure we'll be doing a few more inspections together in the future.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Mike. Yeah.